All right.
So, hello everyone, and welcome to our course called Journey of an Empath, Mastering the Feelings. I am Eco, the incredibly caring organism. I use they pronouns, and I'm honored that you have chosen to be here today, whether that is part of the live class here or whether you are watching the replay for this. And here with me today, I have my co-teacher, James. Would you like to introduce yourself, James?
Hi, my name is James Zatopa. I'm here co-teaching with Eco, and I have been on my path now for a few years. I've actually just returned from a intense advanced meditation retreat, so I'm feeling very zen-like and peaceful, and I'm looking forward to uh, teaching today with Eco about what an empath is and what that means, and all the other aspects on how that affects our life. Uh, and what I'd like to start off with today is a simple exercise we're going to do. So there's going to be a little bit of audience participation. I know everybody was hoping they just get to sit back and enjoy the show, but we're going to get to know each other a little bit because it's important when we're empaths to get to know ourselves. That's going to be part of this journey. So what I'm going to first invite us to do is just take a moment to breathe in to 3 spaces within our body. And that's first our heart. And we just put our hands over our heart. We breathe into our heart and let it out with sound.
And
Now
when
we're
you
going to
let
do
it
it
out
about
with a sound, let it out with a sound so it actually reverberates in your chest, and you can actually feel it with your hand up against your chest. When you do that, what happens is that is stimulating the vagus nerve. And the vagus nerve helps us go from the fight or flight back into the rest and digest mode. And it signals to the brain that we are safe. Going back to the caveman days, if we were like being chased by a tiger and jumped into the bushes to hide, and we went, oh, while that tiger would find us very quickly, we'd be dead. So when we're able to actually do that and the body notices, oh, we're still alive, nothing's coming against us, it helps the body to actually relax and rest.
Perfect. So let's all do it together again. Start at the heart. Next, the belly. And really feel into the belly when you breathe in and let it out with sound. Just how it's feeling. It's okay to be a little silly with it. And then your root, which is your lower belly. There's something funky in there for me to let loose, and I just had to let it out. We're gonna do that one more time, maybe 2. We're gonna go heart. I'm feeling nice and clear there myself. Belly. And if you need to, let your body move around and just kind of get a little bit of motion there. Root. What we're doing is just releasing a little bit of stuck energy and dropping into our sensations. Let's try one more time. We're going to really slow down this time. Deep breath and out with sound. That feels better. Belly deep in and you can even visualize anything stuck in there, just releasing, letting go. Now the root. Why we do this, as Eco said, was It helps clear and connect with our vagus nerves, but also on a simpler level. It's important to understand the underpinnings of it, but on a simpler level, it takes us a moment to just slow down, and just be after a day, and then drop in. And from here, Ico, would you like us to do the, I'm feeling maybe we do the ERAP after we start talking about some boundaries. Would you like to start talking about boundaries and then we can go a little further?
Before we get into that, I would like to invite people to share what it is that would make the class a success for them today. So shaking up is completely optional, and you're always at choice. And I'm curious, for those of you who are live in the class, what is it that would make today a success for you? Who would like to share?
For me, I would really like to understand. Yeah, I understand my boundaries, but I guess what to do when I'm just inherently absorbing other people's emotions, and then I feel like they're stuck in my body. So what to do with that? Yeah, and also work more on boundaries, like of emotional boundaries, I guess. Um, yeah, and then other than that, I'm just kind of excited to see what you'll present as well.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.
Let's pray that into our hearts and down to the earth. Anyone else like to go and share what their intentions are, or what would make this masterclass be a success for them?
I'm just here to learn about it all. I have no objections to anything right now, since I am very new to this.
Awesome.
I jumped into a masterclass, did I?
Yep. Thank you for jumping in feet first, and thank you for being here and being like, okay, let's see if I am an empath and this actually resonates with me. You're in the perfect place for that. So let's put that into our hearts. And down to the earth.
Into the nose and out through the toes.
And James, would you like to go and share what would make this class a success for you?
You know what would be a success for me is if everybody here left feeling like they've gained something, a new tool or a new understanding of themselves. Yeah.
Beautiful. So let's put that into our hearts. And down to the earth. And for me, there are two outcomes that I would like to have for today and have this be a success for this class. It is first really being able to make a meaningful difference in the lives of someone that is here and for someone that is watching the replay. And second is being able to invite those of you who feel called and interested to go deeper with us. And we'll share more about that at the end of this masterclass. So let's breathe that into our hearts. And down to the earth. So, I think, James, you said you thought that going and starting with the boundaries part was somewhere where you felt called to doing next.
You know what? I think I jumped the gun a little bit, and I'm glad we had a moment to go around the room and breathe. And I think where I'd like to really start is just discussing what an empath is.
Perfect.
Wonderful. Sometimes when I'm feeling a lot of energy or emotion, I get a little excited and get a little ahead of myself. So appreciate all of us taking a moment and breathing into that. So an empath is somebody who not only feels their emotions, they're able to feel the emotions of those around them. And this, when in a healthy, balanced manner, is part of our life, can be a superpower. We get to experience other sensations than people around us may be experiencing. However, many of us who are empaths come from environments where we didn't learn how to navigate those extra feelings and don't know what to do with them. And sometimes they can get stuck within us because they weren't ours in the first place, or they resonated something within us, so we got triggered. And so we have to learn extra tools to clear ourselves, to balance ourselves, to strengthen ourselves. And that's what we're going to touch on today. And it is a skill. It is something that if you are an empath, it's like brushing your teeth. You're going to have to do some things that are a little bit of like maintenance every day. It's just part of our lifestyle. The upside is by taking good care of ourselves, we live happier, healthier, more balanced lives than a lot of people around us who, quite frankly, aren't able to always feel everything that's going on around them in the first place. Ico, would you say that you have a different lens that we could add to this part that is the way you experience and see things as an empath yourself?
Sure. And I'll give a couple different examples as well. And being an empath, there are a lot of different levels and a lot of different awarenesses. So just because someone says that they're an empath doesn't mean the same thing to everyone. At some of the lighter ends of the spectrum, it may look like just being able to kind of get a sense of a feeling of what's going on with someone else. It may just be a little bit of an inkling. At the more sensitive ends and the higher sensitivities, it can be like, I know exactly what is going on to the person within them, and what some people might call being blatantly psychic. When I was in college, I had a girlfriend who had a very high sensitivity, and she told me that she could literally walk into a crowded bar, sit down, not talk to anyone, and within 5 minutes know exactly what's going on with every single person in the room. For a lot of people, that would be overwhelming. And for her, it definitely was overwhelming. She never learned any of these kind of skills that we're going to be talking about today. And so she turned to a self-medication, alcohol, and in her own words, to get the voices in her head down to a dull roar. Part of me being in a relationship with her and not knowing how to go and help her at that point in my life, and in developing my own empathic abilities, and the more that I got with my own feelings, being able to pick up on the feelings of others, it's become important to me to be able to help my fellow empaths, being able to have other options rather than detrimenting themselves and their bodies just so they can go and manage working through the world, which is why I co-created this with James.
And just to add a little color to my story, I grew up in a very unhealthy environment. And for me, my ability to sense sound, body language, the vibrations around me was part of a skill set of survival. There is a trend I've seen with people who find themselves being empaths to have been in environments that they were overly vigilant to navigate the world because they had to be, or we had to be. However, the world isn't always that dangerous and scary of a place. So what got us to have these wonderful abilities also gives us a dark sense of humor sometimes, and terrible coping mechanisms. And learning how to let go of those and find good ones is really important. Because when we get to have these good coping mechanisms, the world can feel really good because we can sense what environments we don't want to be in. We can start taking ownership of our lives and become sovereign. And that leads into our next topic, which is boundaries. Setting healthy boundaries for ourselves and the way we interact with others is very important. It's one of the skills I see just in general within empaths and people who've been in those environments that has not been taught or we haven't been learned. I had to learn it the hard way myself. But it is crucial. It is crucial, even for non-empaths, but even more so because we have to recognize what's ours and not ours. We have to understand how to read it and trust ourselves. We have to accept the truth of who we are and what our gifts are. And then we have to navigate a world by going, this is okay for me. This is not okay for me. This is kind of okay for me in this amount. This is not, this isn't in balance. This isn't in balance. And then we can just get everything like right there and balanced. And it's a practice. It's not easy. And everybody has a little bit of a different way of doing it. And Ico, how would you say, and I have a little more I want to share after, but I'd really love to hear your take on boundaries and how you help navigate them in your life.
Sure. And something that comes up for me is I want to make a distinction of there being at least a couple of different kinds of boundaries. There are the physical boundaries of being around like other people, like with our words and our actions. And then there are also energetic boundaries and things like psychic shielding that we can go and pick up so we can kind of protect ourselves from the energy that is going around being put off and being kind of thrown out by other people that empathic people like us can have a tendency to pick up. And for those of you who may be questioning, am I empathic? I invite you to consider, have there been times in your life where you may have gone to see a person, maybe a friend or a family member or even a coworker, and the conversation was like okay, or kind of neutral, or even it was a very happy kind of conversation, but for some reason when you go and walk away from it, you just feel absolutely terrible and miserable, and you can't figure out why, because there's nothing that was actually upsetting within that conversation. And what I invite you to consider is that in part could have been your empathic nature picking up on some hidden or suppressed sadness or other negative feelings that the other person was putting off, and you just picked up on and carried away with. So being able to actually have boundaries and being able to shield against that kind of stuff can help to prevent being negatively affected unintentionally.
Thank you. Would you mind if I added a little bit?
Yes, sir.
For myself, sometimes I can be around people and literally my whole body will start to vibrate. If somebody's really angry or upset, I can feel it like a vibration, not only in my physical being, but like in the emotion and the tone that carries. Or sometimes if I'm around sadness, I'll just start tearing up myself, depending on where it hits me. And as I've developed and I've worked on these skills, I've discovered for myself, and I believe this is something that we can all achieve, is the ability to feel and recognize other people's emotions without having to hold them. And that takes practice. And we're going to talk a little bit about how we do that as we continue. But Anastasia, it sounds like you've experienced yourself of being around others and then going, this is in me. How do I get this? Oh, this isn't mine. How do I break this up and go and get it out? And it's a process. It's the fun of being an empath. And Carol, if you're wondering, I'm curious, I should say, is this kind of resonating with you from what you're just hearing so far? Did you have any questions as somebody who's trying to discover if you are an empath?
It is helping me to understand. I might have been empathic to people and not know it because, you know, it's a new feeling for me then. But maybe if I continue, I will know for sure.
I think you will. At some point, what I've kind of found in my life was that I went, this isn't my feeling, and yet I'm feeling it. Like I know this feeling, I can sense this feeling, but I'm not feeling it. Sometimes that even happens in movies. When I'm seeing somebody really feel something in a movie, I can sense their feeling. However, it's it's not necessarily my feeling. It's the feeling of the movie. It's probably the greatest example, but it's more often in real life.
Do you think that one could just desensitize themselves so they don't recognize if they are feeling other people's?
Oh yeah, yes. You kidding? Oh man, talk about like how am I supposed to feel my own feelings, especially everybody else's in this world? Numb is a feeling. It's a survival feeling.
Yes.
And as you start letting go of the numbness, it can be a little overwhelming sometimes. But as this releases within us, the numbness, I think it happens. I think there's a turning point. Ico, did you find there was a turning point in your life where like there was a numbness that maybe went away, or were you kind of on the same level the whole time? For me, there was a numbness, and then it like broke apart, and I felt everything super deeply.
No, I was definitely numb for 14 years of my life.
Okay.
And I actually went through a personal growth course specifically to get back in touch with my feelings. Because after 14 years, and I hadn't even consciously realized that I had shut myself off for so long, until a friend of mine came up to me and said, "Hey, do you realize that you're like disconnected from your feelings? I don't mean just now. I mean you always are. How do you feel about getting back in touch with them?" And sheer terror ran through my entire body. And after not feeling pretty much anything for almost a decade and a half, that was really intense for me to go and feel, being like, oh, I'm feeling something. Maybe it would be a good idea for me to get back in touch with my feelings. And I am grateful that I did. And then learning how to actually emotionally relate became a new challenge for me. And I was very grateful that I had a friend and a mentor to kind of help guide me along the path and hold that space as I learned how to better regulate myself, both within myself and around other people. I'm curious if Anastasia would like to go and share anything that may be coming up for them.
I don't know if there was there was definitely a point where I felt numb in different places, but it was just a really big imbalance. Like I felt way too much in some places and then really, really numb in other places. So yeah, and now it's like kind of coming back into balance.
Got it.
Thank you for sharing.
Thank you. And as James mentioned, one of the key things can be like separating out what is my feelings versus what is their feelings. And a simple exercise that I've taught to other empathic people that has been very effective is asking the question, does this feeling belong to me? And often some empathic people are being like, no, this actually doesn't belong to me, when they check in with themselves. Or even like, you can even make more of a nuance of it, of like, how much of this feeling actually belongs to me? And then being able to choose to let go of the part that doesn't belong to you. And the way that you can do that is by, when you're concentrating on that feeling, being like, any feeling that does not belong to me, return to sender or down to the earth with love.
Okay.
And then imagine yourself kind of gathering kind of like energetic cords around you and cutting them, and also around the back, and cutting those, and taking 3 deep breaths. That way you're just kind of letting go of any of those feelings and emotions from others that may have just have attached to you for whatever reason. And then usually within about 10 minutes, those kind of feelings that you recognize didn't actually belong to you work themselves out and they go away. Oh, cool.
You think if somebody is emotionally hurt, that would prevent them from being empathic to the surroundings? Like if you had abusive behavior towards me, for instance, that I don't feel very much anymore because I've just kind of put this cage around me, I think.
Yeah, it is common for those of us who have been abused, especially emotional abuse, to kind of cage and shut down and wall off. One of the things that I have found for myself in my own journey is being like, I started to go and wall off my feelings just so I didn't have to feel the negative thing. And what I didn't realize at the time is that it is kind of more of like an on-off switch, where a lot of things are like a slider where you can have different degrees. However, what I've discovered is when it comes to the emotions, being like, if you try to wall off one part of it, the other part gets walled off. When you open yourself up to actually feeling feelings again, yes, you're able to go and feel the joy, happiness, love, etc., and all the feelings of like the sadness, the grief, the anger come up too. How we are naturally built is feelings are meant to be felt, they're meant to be expressed, and then let go.
Okay.
There's also an aspect of, we understand now that hurt people hurt people. Those who are emotionally abused, because not everybody's at the point where they are saying, I was emotionally abused, I want to do anything but emotionally abuse somebody, because I would never want somebody to experience what I experienced. Yeah. And as we start opening up to our feelings and starting to set healthy boundaries, if you're in an environment where there's people around that are emotionally wounded and emotionally wounding, that can amplify for a bit. It's really important to learn how to set those boundaries and say no. It's really important to have a fuck no. We don't have a fuck yes. If we don't have a fuck no, we don't have a fuck yes. We can't really say yes to things if we can't go. No. I'm sorry. No. And no. Yeah. Just no. And no is a powerful word. So is yes. I love hearing yes. Well, you know what? I'd rather have a loving no when I need it than a not loving yes. And it's part of setting boundaries and then reinforcing them. It takes some real checking in with ourselves and going, what is this boundary? Why is it here? Is it down when it should be up? Is it up when it should be down? If it's correctly placed and somebody's testing it, at what point is my walk away point? And at what point do I explain that this is my boundary? And if you cross this boundary, like if you cross this point, it's done. Like there is, because I love myself, and a healthy boundary is when I can love you and me equally. Okay. And what does that look like? What does it look like for me to love you and me equally? Well, that can be different for each person. And for where I'm at in this conversation, it may be very different when I'm talking to my mother or father or a stranger on the beach. Mm-hmm. But I have a gauge. So beyond balancing between me and the other person, or me in a situation, or me and even myself on certain topics, I also have, is this person meeting me at my level? If you meet me all the way at my level, if you're meeting me right here at the top, I don't know if there's up here, but maybe there is. If you're meeting me up here and higher, I'm going to be up close. I'm right here. I'm going to hug you. I'm going to kiss you. I'm going to love you. I mean, if that's what we're doing, you're one of the closest beings in the world to me. And if you're not quite here and you're here, you're still really close to me. You're still a friend. I love you. You're in my life. There's no level of this that isn't love, but I'm going to see you all the time. And if you're a little lower, maybe I see you around the way a little bit less often than I did everybody here, but you're still in my life. We start getting here, I'll see you around the way. Maybe we're in a class together and we're acquaintances. By the time we're getting like here, you're that guy at work I hand papers to sometimes, and we're like, I don't know if I'm going to talk to you much more, but it keeps going all the way down. And when you get to the bottom, it's, I love you and I never have to see you again in the rest of my life. I can love you from way over here. I love you, but I love me, and I can't love me and you unless I don't see you ever again. And I have to be no contact. And it's a practice. Like I say this, like it's easy. It's not easy, but it becomes easier, and it comes with ease after doing it for a while and doing some self-check-ins and going, did I have a boundary up that should have been down so I didn't connect? That's another aspect of this. Yeah. Or did I have a boundary down that needs to be up? And this will start playing itself out in your life. Just by having this conversation, it brings to our awareness these different aspects of how we experience life, and we might recognize in our lives, oh man, I was letting myself rot away here. My boundaries are down. And that's when we talk about shielding in some level, but with healthy boundaries, shielding starts to balance out on how we use it. Right. If a boundary's up and we can't get it down, I really wanted to ask this girl out and I'm scared, or I really want to go do this thing and I want to go dance, but I'm scared. I can't lower this boundary because I'm all these feelings. Breathe and reconnect. I can now lower this a little bit better. Reconnect with the body, and I feel it a little bit better, and I can fall into my body a little bit better. And that breathing exercise we did at the beginning, or the letting go that Ico has taught us, are ways to navigate these situations. And it's really important to notice these things, because once we notice them, we can do something about them. Until then, we're kind of at the whim of the universe, flying a little bit blind. And as people who are extra feelers, that's where we can pick up stuff that's not ours, that gets stuck, and go, why is somebody else's sadness bothering me? And Ico, you have some really good ways of explaining how to separate out that part of our feelings, beyond just the separation. What else would you have to share that might be of use that
something
help
else
us
is that in my experience, a lot of people who are empathic really want to go and help, and have been kind of really careful at being able to set boundaries for themselves. So as James was going mentioning, it's important to remember that we have that sovereignty within us. We have that choice, and we get to love ourselves first and foremost. So when we're expressing a boundary towards someone else, even if it's like, I love you and I can't be around you, you can go and tell them that this is a boundary so I can be in right relationship with myself. You're not bad, you're not wrong for how you are, and this is a boundary that is for me, and it's nothing that is against you. And we can love someone dearly and deeply and with all our heart, and them not be safe or healthy for us to be around, and that's okay for them to just let them go. There is enough space and enough people in the universe. We don't have to like grasp on with desperation to this particular one. We can let them go in peace and love, and that's okay, because you being in right relationship with yourself, you being like, I feel safe, I feel loved, and this is me loving me by me saying this is good for me to be around and this is not good for me to be around, so I'm going to choose to not be around.
That could be tough. That can be really tough, especially if that's a romantic partner, a family member. Work and life situations are a little bit easier to navigate. Sometimes it's a friend or somebody that we thought were friends and realized that maybe it wasn't a healthy dynamic. And a good friend would bless you on your way and wish you the best, but generally the ones who are in that environment aren't the ones doing that. And when it's family members, it can be a challenge. If we live with them, it's very difficult. We have to learn very unique skills. When I was young, I insulated, which caused me to have very thick boundaries and barriers to everything. And I needed that to survive. And now that I'm going from surviving to thriving, I can finally let go of those.
And while we only have a time to just briefly go into this right now, in our 6-part series, we'll be going into this a lot deeper.
Okay. All right. Well, I thank you for taking the time to explain this to me.
Mm-hmm.
We're happy to have you.
I know that I have cut off myself from a lot of people because I feel the knot in the pit of my stomach. When I think of them, I feel very tight. And I need to free it up so that I can be the wonderful person that I am.
Absolutely. And good job noticing that it's like, oh, I have that tightness. There's something that is actually
tightness. Yes.
Yeah.
Because I'm living with a family member right now that I'm finding it very difficult to deal with.
Right.
And I'm tight all the time.
Mm-hmm. Well, James, I'm curious, would you like to go and share based off of that, the embodied relationship awareness practice, the ERAP?
Sorry?
I have something to share.
Okay.
And before this, though, because you mentioned specifically that stomach and Anastasia said something, I'm going to show you guys a quick tool. It's going to look a little silly. Then we're going to do one thing else. All right. So I have a pillow. You probably seen something like this in a movie where somebody goes in the other room and they just scream. It works really fucking good. Grab a pillow and just like 2 or 3 times. Like, and when we shake our body and we scream and we emote and we feel our feelings, it'll actually break up the dense energy. Okay. And we will feel our gut and it'll start breaking up and we will feel, it'll feel intense. Do it for 3 or 4 times until it's done.
Yeah.
Or feeling triggered. And breathing into it will also really help and loosen it up. Every day, the 3 breaths into the 3 body parts.
Okay.
But the pillow screaming is part of something that's more advanced we teach in the class, but I wanted to make sure you guys had that because it's great for when we're feeling triggered as well. If we're feeling really intense, granted, we aren't always in a place we can scream into a pillow. But you can scream into your hands, or you can even do like a silent scream and just like imagine you're screaming. And but right,
I've done the hand one a lot.
Right.
I've done this one without even knowing what I was doing.
There's something natural about it, right? Just like, and it'll break up that energy and that emotion. It'll start flowing, and you might have more emotion start coming out.
Yeah.
I'll tell you the one last little bit. I'll say what's kind of happening is, without going too in depth, is we're kind of creating a temper tantrum to release emotion, whereas kids have emotion and then they have a temper tantrum. It's like a micro reversal. Okay. But looking at the time, what I want to do is a final class exercise is called ERAP. It's Emotional Relationship Aptitude Protocol.
Okay.
And so We're all going to take a turn with this. And here's how this works. I'm going to demonstrate it. And then, Ego, would you follow my lead?
Sure.
And then we'll go around the class. And you can do this with a friend, a partner, people in your life. It might be a flirty way to start a romantic night, depending on what everything is in. But here's how it starts. It goes like this. You sit, you take a breath, and you start with a sentence like, as I sit here with you, or hearing you share. So as I sit here with you, I feel the chair underneath me. I feel the stillness of the air. I hear my clock ticking. I feel my heart having a little bit of pressure, more on the sides, like right here. My mind feels very clear and balanced. I'm a little hungry, even though I'm kind of full. I could possibly eat. And becoming aware of my body. I can sense my whole body. And we close by saying deep breath. And everybody takes a deep breath. And we let it out with sound. So, Iko, would you follow, and then we can go around the whole room?
Sure. As I sit here with you, what I'm noticing is I'm noticing my feet, and my left foot being bare and my right foot being covered by a fuzzy blanket. I'm noticing that there is a contraction in my chest and my heart. I'm noticing my heart. And deep breath.
Deep breath.
Who would like to try that out next?
Anastasia, would you like to go next?
Sure. As I sit here, I notice my butt, my legs on the bed, my back against the pillow, my feet under a blanket, but still cold. I notice knot or like contraction in my stomach. Contraction, but I don't know, it's like a gooey feeling. And I notice my heavy shoulders and my heart.
Thank you for sharing, Anastasia.
Thank
Larry,
you.
would you like to go?
Sure, I'll go. I notice an itching in my right nostril. I notice my thoughts go, is it COVID? I notice there's noise in the background, TV blaring. I notice tightness in my shoulders, heaviness in my eyelids. I notice my feet are on the ground, but I notice my thoughts say I'm not grounded. And I notice tension in my shoulders.
Thank you. When we complete, we say deep breath. Is that deep breath? Wonderful.
Okay, yeah, deep breath.
Ah.
Would you like to go,
Carol,
Carol?
would you like a turn?
Okay, I'll turn. I'll try a turn. As I sit here with you, I notice my left foot on the floor, a tightness in my back, feeling in my stomach, and I don't remember anymore.
That's okay.
And my heart. And now I'll take a deep breath.
So we could go another round, but instead what I'm feeling is there anybody else feeling called to share anything? I'll take the silence as if we're all complete. And I'll take a moment. Oh, go ahead.
So at this point, with the bit of time that we have left, I would like to let people know about how they can go deeper with us and the beyond this masterclass. And I'm going to put a link here in the chat. And for those of you who are watching the replay, you can go and see the same thing by going to bit.ly/empath first class. EMPATH FIRST CLASS. And I'm going to share my screen to share with you all a little bit about that. Can you all see my screen at this point?
It's starting,
Yes.
but it's not come in yet.
Okay. So Empaths First Class, we've gotten a little bit of a taste of what this kind of freedom can be like. And we're going to be going to start taking back control of your emotions and being able to live your life fearlessly. So that way you can go through your life without having to be worried about what emotions am I going to pick up from other people. And being able to be like, if I do happen to go and pick up feelings from others, I know what to go and do with them, so I can process them out and go and continue on with my life without actually being drained by it. So, as empaths, we not only feel our own emotions, we also feel emotions of those that are around us, and we tend to feel and experience life very deeply and have to navigate in the world which doesn't make sense to a lot of other people. And despite the way it may feel sometimes, being an empath can seem like a curse. It can actually be a superpower. And when we don't know how to handle it, it becomes incredibly challenging. But once we actually learn those needed skills and develop them, we can even begin to get to a place where we're able to, I don't want to put it, get to a place where life flows a lot more easily and naturally. And for those of us who are empaths, being a sensitive, deep feeler in this world, it takes extra work, care, and understanding compared to those who aren't. And the skills are needed to navigate life as an empath and sometimes actually run contrary to what's popular or what is like, the socially correct thing to do. And may not even make logical sense until we actually learn more about what is right for us and what we need so we can be able to actually thrive. And this is going to be a 6-part course series that's going to start on Tuesday, June 15th at 6 p.m. It's going to be twice a week, so the same time is going to be Tuesdays and Thursdays starting at 6 p.m. And as this is the first time that we're offering this course, we're going to be giving you and those who are watching the replay an opportunity for a $100 discount. So instead of $297, you can get it for only $197 for choosing to be part of Empath First Class. And for any of those who may be X-Men fans, playing up a little bit about that. Since superpowers, mutations, being different from the rest of humanity. Anyone relate to that besides me? Thank you. So in the first class, we're going to go deeper into what it actually is to be an empath. What does it mean to look like to actually be an empath? What are common challenges that empaths face that we may not even recognize as being a part of our empathic abilities? In the second class, it's going to go a lot deeper into establishing healthy boundaries and learning more about what healthy boundaries actually look like and how to set the boundaries that are actually good for you, even if you've never been able to go and set boundaries before, if you did have them set. A lot of you may have experienced having them be walked all over, and this is going to really help you be able to set the boundaries in a way that is actually that they're going to be respected and held, and you being able to have those boundaries heard, seen, and respected. In the third class, we're going to delve more into our intuition, because as an empath, our intuition is one of our most powerful assets. And we're going to be delving into how to better tap into your intuition and use it as an advantage so we can better navigate throughout the world. James, would you like to say anything in addition about those first three parts?
No, I think you've kind of covered everything. And we gave a taste of each one of these today, except maybe intuition. Larry mentioned that his intuition was guiding him to share that, at least this was my understanding, he needs to grow in his grounding ability, which is really something that comes through intuition, embodying our truth. But that's something that we develop as we grow through a course like this.
And I would also say that we did model it a little bit earlier towards the beginning, being like, where you were saying it was like, letting yourself feel into what was actually the next part that we should go into and in what order to actually take things in. So while we may have a plan of how we think it's going to go, being able to actually be present in that moment, tapping into that intuition, being like, this is actually what's needed right now, and being able to let go of what you thought how it's going to go so you can best serve and show up with moving forward.
Yeah.
So
I think it's a good way of describing it.
In our fourth class, we're going to go in over love for yourself as well as others. As empaths, not only do we have a tendency to feel the feelings of love others, we also very deeply care often about the other people around us, and can put ourselves into what can even come across as being like a martyrdom of being like, I'm here in this situation, this terrible, sucky, abusive situation, because I love and care about you so much, and being able to transmute into how do I love myself first and foremost? How do I show myself love and compassion? How do I love me and put me as an important priority? And then coming from that place of fullness, once I am full of love because I gave that love to myself, then being able to go out and share that abundance of love with other people, which then naturally leads into our fifth class of navigating spaces. As you become better at handling your own empathic abilities, you're going to want to explore how you actually navigate these spaces with other people in it, because no person is an island among to themselves, and we live in a world of other humans, and unless you're going to find a way to be self-sustaining and go somewhere out in some kind of nature cave, and be like, I'm not interacting with another person ever again, you're probably going to be around people at some point or another. And so learning how to be able to remain in control of your feelings without being overwhelmed by the feelings of others is a critical skill. And finally, we have the integration component, being able to bring all of these things together so you're able to go forward into your life and experience these empathic abilities, instead of it being a curse, actually becoming a superpower. And, would you like to say anything more about any of those three?
No, I I think our work really comes from a heart-centered space, which, speaking for myself, came through the school of hard knocks, not being aware that I was supposed to love myself for many years and realizing how important it is so I get good at it. And that really does tie into navigating spaces and integration, because as we learn to love ourselves, which ultimately is at the core of being an empath, is the root is love, and being able to feel and express love in all its many forms. And doing that allows us to navigate spaces. And we reach the integration point near the end of the class. You'll find that you'll be able to experience a deeper, more richer experience of life through feeling love and exploring love in a different manner by understanding it beyond just the romantic sense, but in the infinite sense of navigating this beautiful world we live in.
So, exactly. And I would love to have each and every one of you be a part of this, if you feel that it would be of use and value to you. And I do believe that for empaths such as ourselves, this is going to be a valuable course and help make life easier as you go and move through it. And as things become easier, we gain confidence and are able to experience love and connection with others so much easier. And for me, I love helping people get exactly what they want and what they need. So when you go to bit.ly/empath first class, you'll see over on the left hand side where you can enter in your name and your email. Then when you click on enroll now, you'll be taken to the page to put in your tuition amount for that using a PayPal link, and enroll yourself in the class. So I'm excited by those of you who are here, who are considering going to join us, or those of you who are watching the replay and choosing to go and join us as well. And I'll stop sharing for a moment. And I want to thank each and every one of you for being here during this class, and I would like to open up the floor now for any of you to ask any questions, so we can make sure that they get answered either about anything that we covered, or anything we're going to be going over the class, or anything that comes up for you for this.
I have a question. I don't know if it's appropriate to ask though.
You can ask, Larry.
Fire away.
How do you know an empath is not really a narcissist in disguise? A lot of narcissists are really good at pretending to be empath. And how do we know when we call ourselves empathetic, we are not really narcissistic?
So I have a great measure of this I've recently come up with. And there's way more depth to this. It's a really good question. And there's a lot of aspects to this. But an empath is going to be somebody, if when they hear the truth, is going to be thankful so that they can grow and experience and accept. And a narcissist will punish you for the truth. And that is what I've experienced in life. So when somebody tells me the truth, I'm thankful for it. I don't always like it. It's not always comfortable. It's not the most pleasant of experiences, but I don't want to punish the other person for telling me the truth and highlighting what's really going on. When I've dealt with narcissists in life, which as empaths, we tend to attract them. When I've told them the truth, they become aggressive. That is where the boundaries come into play. And they can attack in a multitude of ways. And we don't necessarily have time to do a deep dive here. But that's where manipulation and control comes into play. That's where wounded people wound people, which could be different than a narcissist, but also can be the same. It can be an aspect of ego. or a denial of willingness to see oneself. But the fact that you can simply ask that question means you're not a narcissist. I went through a period of life where somebody had told me I was all sorts of things, including that. And I went to therapy, and I asked my therapist, I'm like, I've been told all these terrible things. Am I a narcissist? Do I need help? And she simply said, if you're at the point where you can ask if you are one, and that you can ask for help because you were worried you are one, you are not one. That is very clearly not within the capabilities of a narcissist or somebody with borderline personality disorder or some bipolar traits. And even if you call somebody a narcissist who is a narcissist, that's not always going to be helpful. Or borderline. It's way easier to work on the, I'm going to set a healthy boundary, and I'm going to love myself. And if you're meeting me here, cool. And if you're not, also cool, but I'm just not going to have you in my life. And learning to navigate that, because we can't fundamentally really control who other people are. We can really only control our response to them.
Thank you for answering a challenging question.
I hope did that help?
Well, I mean, a narcissist isn't willing to admit that they're a narcissist. They're not willing to seek help or self evaluate, is what I heard you say.
Right.
Yeah.
It's something that I'll add to that may help. It is like the difference between someone being, if I can be a little bit vulgar for a moment, an asshole versus someone who isn't an asshole, is that the one who isn't the asshole is actually willing to admit, yep, I can be a real asshole at times. Because they're gonna own it. They're willing to admit, here's where the times where I go and fall short of my own ideals. Where the one who's actually the asshole is much more often than being like, oh no, I'm never an asshole. I'm not mean to people. I'm always kind. I never treat anyone poorly. Nope, that is not me. No way, shape, form. And the truth is, as spiritual beings, we have everything, all capabilities, light and dark within us. And when we're able to actually able to own both our light and our dark sides and love and embrace those parts of us and everything that we're capable of, on a conscious level, we're able to make better choices and healthier choices for ourselves and those people around us.
Okay.
Carol, it looked like you had a question that you wanted to ask.
No, I'm good.
Okay.
I've had enough. I got a lot tonight to think about, and I thank you very much.
Got it. All right. You're very welcome.
Anastasia, did you have anything you wanted to share or have any questions? All right. Well, Ico, I think with that, we've gotten a chance to discuss a lot of things today. Is there anything you want to add before we close?
I appreciate everyone's time in being here. Both those of you who, all of you who are here live and able to interact, and also for those of you who are choosing to go and watch the replay. Thank you for investing your most valuable and precious resource, your time, with us. And I look forward to being able to come into deeper relationship with those who choose to join Empath class.
Yeah. Thank you very much. I'm very thankful for all of you showing up today, not only for our class, but for yourselves to grow and learn.
Yes.
Thank you very much. Really appreciate it.
Mm-hmm.
Very honored.